Today we're going to do a little tweak to any bottom, skirt or pant that's pull up, that's got an elasticized waistband. It might have a yoga waistband, some type of waistband. We're going to change it to add on an integrated casing that we're just going to fold onto the inside. Super easy modification. Let's see how to do it. Hi sewing friends, I'm Karina from liftingpinsandneedles.com. Welcome to this channel that is all about sewing, limitless sewing, and today is all about sewing, limitless sewing. And by limitless sewing, I always mean that there's so much more that you can do with a pattern. There's so many changes that you can do, little tweaks just to get a different look. Maybe you have a different goal for that garment, maybe you've made it before and there's something that you want to bring your own twist to. Now, what we're talking about is the way that we hold our pants or our skirts up. This is for those easy peasy, easy to fit, easy to sew pull-on styles, pants or skirts. I'm not going to talk about a specific pattern here because you can do this with any other pull-up skirt or pant that you have. Any pattern is going to work. I have shown you different ways that you can finish the top of these bottoms. You can do a facing and then you can put an elastic inside if that's what you want to do. This is a video that talks all about how to make a facing. I've also shown you different ways that you can finish an elasticated waistband. Your pattern might have an actual waistband with an elastic inside on top of your skirt or pant. That's very easy and there's like 6 ways you can do that. Now, this is something that I have been having requests for. It's something that I've come across in a few patterns as well, where we don't have a separate piece to add on to the top of the waist. The waist is just taller. When you look at the pattern piece, it looks like the rise is super long, but it's not that. It's because it's already been accounted into the drafting so that we have an excess to fold away to the inside to have a casing on the inside. This can save you time. It might not save you fabric though, because you end up with longer bottoms on the top. Just depends on how your fabric layout is. I don't think the fabric difference between doing a separate waistband and doing this method is going to be significant for you to not do this if it's something that you've wanted to try. Let me show you some examples of some garments that already have this incorporated into the design. I have a few examples to show. These are a pair of bottoms that are made in a lightish weight rayon crepe, and this is folded to the inside, so it lets you comfortably insert a 2-inch elastic inside. There's also a first fold here about 3/8. You can do the first fold at 1/4 inch, and that gives you a really clean finish right there. This is non-raw elastic. I didn't feel the need to top stitch it, but you could if you had an elastic that you felt was going to fold or bend or twist. This is pretty sturdy in here. I don't need to do anything else, and it's so easy, so easy. Once you put the legs together, sew the crotch, then you just fold it in, and it's such an easy way to finish a pair of bottoms, skirt or pant. Leave a little gap open, insert the elastic, you're done. So easy. This is the inside of a pull-up skirt. In this case, the shape of the waist is nice and curved, so it fits your body properly. You can't really fold a lot in. This is just over 1 inch there so that the 1-inch elastic can fit. This one has been top stitched once in the middle, just because the elastic wasn't that great. The difference with a skirt is that you just have 2 pieces, comparing to pants where you would have a seam there and a seam there. That allows you to true the shape that you're going to fold in under a little bit more. For pants, you could fold a larger distance in here. But for a skirt where you just have side seams, I think this is the maximum you can pull off and still get a smooth result on the top. So about 1.25 inches folded in with a 1-inch elastic inside. That is what I would recommend for a skirt. Now I'm going to show you with a pair of shorts that I've already made. They're tried and tested. I know they fit me. I know everything. Let me show you how we're going to modify these to add the amount that's necessary on the top, and for also to have shape on the top that's going to correspond to the length that we need. We don't just blindly add up length and fold it back. We need to true that and make it work. So you're going to get a little funny shape on the top, but it has to be like that for this to work really well. I would do the exact same thing if I want to modify a knit garment as well. It would be the exact same process I would follow. I wouldn't change a thing if I had a pair of knit shorts or pants or skirts that I wanted to do this with. It would be exactly the same. So what I'm going to show you for woven and knit, same thing. So let's see. This is the waistband piece of the shorts that I'm using. I folded it in half like it's going to be sewn. I have drawn the seam allowance that you would use to sew this to the top of the waist of the shorts, which is 3/8. That's what you see there. Don't get confused about anything you see printed here because I reuse paper from when I make mistakes printing, so I'm not going to disclose what pattern I'm using here. This is 1.5 inch elastic that I'm going to use inside this waistband, and you can see that when I put it in here, you have a little bit of wiggle room. It's not that this section is going to measure exactly 1.5 inches, then your elastic would fit really tightly. So it's always going to be a little bit more. It's really important that you know exactly what this measures from here to there. So what I measure is 4.5 centimeters, which is actually 1/4 inch larger here than your elastic would be. I've got both leg pieces here. This is the front, this is the back. What I'm going to do to one is going to be the same thing I'm going to do with the other. So this is the front. You can see that I've got some pink paper underneath because that is what I'm going to use to add on the extension to be able to fold this back. I've drawn the seam allowance here, 3/8 that you would use to sew on your waistband. So if we put the two lines right on top of each other, we're going to have the completed length right there. So I've already done some lines on the paper on the back, adding that amount that we need, which is exactly that what we measured there. Now remember, these are all references. You might find different waistband finished width. This is just an example of how I'm modifying this one according to the waistband that we find over here. So that is how much these pants need to be made taller so that you end up with the same rise as you had originally, because that would be the waistband sewn on there, only that we don't have a waistband now, we have fabric making it taller. To add on that 1.5 inch elastic and to fold it back so it fits nicely, I basically have to add the same amount again. What I'm measuring now is the casing. So again, I'm measuring the 4.5 centimeters. So there we have it. That is going to be what's folded to the inside. But what if you want to fold the edge so it's nice and neat? Because you could essentially just cut it there and serge the edge and fold it in. That would be okay. But if you want something nicer, I think you could fold it in. So let's add 3/8 of an inch on the top to be able to fold it in. This is my back leg now, and I've done exactly the same. I've done the same lines. So now I'm just going to cut the excess away. Now we can't just cut straight up like this. We need to be able to get a shape that's going to make sense with the width that we're going to have over here, because that's where the fabric is going to end up being afterwards. So this is the line that we want to fold back as if we were sewing, because this is going to be what's folded to the inside. So let's fold that back. What's back here is what's going to be inside your pants, and this is where the elastic's going to be. This over here is going to be folded in, so you get a neat edge. Now with a ruler, draw the same shape I have right there and here. Keep going with the same angle, and then we're going to cut this. When we unfold it, we're going to see that we have a little bit of a shape there going out like this. And this also is not completely straight. It's super important that we do that we true this shape, so that when this is actually folded to the inside of the pants, it ends up being the same length over here. So don't just blindly go and add without any consideration of what the final shape is going to be. So it's going to come out a little bit, come in, come back out, same as over here. And I've done the same process with this one over here for the front. So that is essentially how you do it. I want to point out that you can do something different here. I'm doing this considering that I'm going to use a 1.5 inch elastic, which was the original elastic width you would have used for the original waistband of the shorts, right? So that's what we did to achieve that there. But what if I just wanted to use a 1 inch elastic instead? You can do it differently. So you would still keep the same width over here of the waistband, but then what you add here could be smaller. So you could add 1.25 inches there to give you a space for that 1 inch elastic. So that would be a line closer to here. And then you could add your 3/8 of an inch to fold it in. So then you would just end up with a smaller casing on the inside, but you would still be conserving the original crotch length over here in the front and the back. So this has to be as per the waistband of the shorts or the pants or the skirt. But this on the inside can be different according to the elastic that you want to use. I think 1 inch elastic is good, 1.5 inch elastic is good. If you wanted to use a 2 inch elastic, then here you would need to add 2.25 inches to give you some wiggle room for that elastic, and then 3/8 of an inch above. So remember, this second section can change according to your elastic and your preference, but this part needs to stay as per the waistband. This is one of the back legs. I've already cut out my fabric. This is a denim. Now, what you see here are 2 guide stitches I did at the sewing machine with a long stitch length. It can be removed later. This is a line that we had on the pattern piece. This is our casing. That's what we're going to fold to the inside. So I drew that with a pen, but because I need to see it from the right side, I actually just went ahead and sewed right on top of that line with a thread. I can see the thread over here, something contrasting. And then on the top, I have my 3/8 that I want to also fold in. So getting this done at the first stage of sewing these shorts is going to be so much easier than trying to do this at the end when you already have the waist, when you have the side seams sewn and everything. So doing these memory creases now is so much easier, and it's going to make your life much better at the end. That's already folded in. Now remember, this extra that I left to fold this in is optional. You could have just serged this right there and not leave that 3/8 extra. Personal preference, if you want to do that, that's fine. But I'm just going to fold this in because that's how I made the pattern change. So this is also done at the sewing machine very accurately with 3/8. I think it's the most accurate way to fold in something to turn out the neatest way possible. And there we have it. There we have 1/4 of this casing. We have 3 more legs to go. These memory creases are going to stay. Just extend them when you sew your seams, your crotch, your side seams and everything. And at the end, it's going to be so much easier to work with this like that. And here we have the perfect little space to fit our 1.5 inch elastic on the inside. You can see that the original pattern had a waistband. It's important that you have that waistband there from your original pattern, that you pin it on so that you know how much that waistband is, because that's the amount you need to add up, plus what you're going to fold back to the inside. So it's quite a significant amount that you need to add on to the top to make this method work, and so that you end up with the same rise as the original pair. If you don't do this properly, you're going to end up with shorts that have a shorter rise and they might end up not fitting properly. So I hope this was easy and clear. The example that you saw me modifying here, I'm not going to disclose what pattern it is, but you will see the finished garment very soon. I did want to have this in its own separate video because it's easy for you to reference. And when I do this hack again with another type of bottom, I can always lead you back to this video so you can see how to do it. Go ahead and make this change. It's so comfortable, it's less bulky. I think it's really great if you want to use a slightly heavier fabric like denim, because folding it in like that is going to give you less layers, less seams. It's going to be much more comfortable around your midsection, and you're still going to have an elastic in there, and it's still going to fit. From the outside, they're going to look the same. No one's going to know, but you're going to know that there's a little secret in there, and that is just folded in instead of adding a separate piece and a separate technique. It can shorten your sewing time by a whole deal. And so now you know how. I really hope these technique videos are easy for you to understand and follow, so you can start making small changes to your makes. It's really fun. It's the best thing for me. I love doing what I want to do. Sometimes there's so many things about a pattern that you really love, but then there's one little thing that you would like to tweak. Well, I've got a collection of videos here showing you how to do so many things. So I hope you give them a go and practice these things so you can grow in your sewing journey. Please let me know when you try this and how it works out. I'd love to know. And do you like this? I know a lot of you do. Make sure you subscribe to this channel. There's always this very practical content for you here, and always from a beautiful background, well, most of the time. Sometimes some dogs out there barking, can't control those. I'll see you very soon. I have very beautiful things to share.